I'll see you in the land of Mordor. Death awaits you at the border. Pass on through the gates of fun, destroy the ring of power.
Hey, Lord of the Rings fans, Roman Daisel is back. We're going to be looking at some more Middle-earth role-playing. Today we have Assassins of Dol Amroth, 8106 of the series. They released this in 1987. I think I bought this in 1988 for like $8 from Endless Adventure out of West Mountain Mall before West Mountain Mall died, more or less. The cover art is Agnes McBride, and you see a guy traveling along a cliff face, and there's a woman ready to stab him as he comes by. Unfortunately, this scene doesn't actually happen in the actual adventures. But anyway, let's get right into it. Back to the board we go. So let's open it up and see. And there's no insert on the inside cover, which kind of sucks. I always like seeing a map on the inside there. You get your table of contents. It's got 1987. And again, you're going through your basic guidelines, handling play, adapting the module, terms and definitions, abbreviations, nothing special. It gives you the pre-generated NPC or player character chart that you can use. You can use these on your own instead of creating a new character, or you can bring them into the game and have them with your character. Let them take the heavy hits while you get the experience type idea. So with the player characters, there's codes, PowerPoint, skill bonuses, languages, spell list. And then for Adventure 1, there's like a choice of 6 different PCs you can use. So this one, instead of just bringing in random ones, they give you a list of which ones you can use, or all 6 if you want. Then it goes into the Adventure 2. It gives you another choice of 6. And it has all their backstories, and they're obviously varied. So you get the elf, the hobbit, the dwarf, various mannish races. Adventure 3, you get the next 6. So there's 18 in all that you can use. It's almost like Jumanji, the next level, where they have like different avatars each time. There's the 5 main ones, and then there's a bunch of little ones. But anyway. So next up, we get to the first real adventure. It's called Murder on the Docks. It gives you the tale of Dor-en-Ernil, the ranger. And he's noted for tracking down and capturing corsairs. And is a great hunter. So he's got some renown within Dol Amroth itself. But he's on his estate now. He's kind of semi-retired. He's got a son. He's wandering around with a boar spear and a knife while hunting. And he sees a strange mist coming out of a rocky knoll. He decides he's not well equipped enough, so he goes back home and forgets about it, which is kind of dumb. But then he goes off to the Newport near the docks to pick up a fine cloak for his son's birthday. It's kind of a dumb story idea, actually. Now the other NPC is called the Shade Jorl Shadow Sword, who's supposed to be an assassin, kind of like a ninja because he chose all gray. His face is covered by a swath of cloak and his hands are gloved. Carries a bunch of stuff. His robe is magical and allows a servant of his cult of power to become invisible once per day. Invisibility is limited that its subjects cannot move in any way without canceling its effect. So basically he has to sit down and do nothing. So it's good if you're just observing people, but it sucks if you gotta move. You have to go to the washroom or go pee. Jesus, I hate to see that. So you go right away to the setting. You don't even know what's happened yet. You think that Dor-en-Ernil is gonna run into Jorl at some point. So you go right to the warehouse. It's an abandoned warehouse that's falling into repair. The owner lost all his wealth and doesn't really care at this point. You have the main floor, the loft, the grain bin, the loading room. And in the loading room you can see a short tunnel cut through the wall itself. Because the wall, when they built the walls are two walls of rock. And in the interior, so they piled rock on 2 sides, and in the middle is dirt. That's how they usually build stone walls. And somebody has had the ingenuity to actually tunnel the dirt out and make small passages through these walls. Then there's a cave which is formed where the outer wall bulges out to support a small guardhouse. Here the thieves put their own no trespassing sign. A skeleton of a large man has been wired together and hung there with a rusted sword fixed to his right hand, and another stuck through the eye hole out the back of the skull. I think they were watching the Goonies when they made this. Whoever created this was watching the Goonies. One-Eye Willie must be at the end of this. So it's not scary. It is rigged to a boat that moves on a boat on the dock where it rocks with the waves, so the skeleton kind of rocks around attached to a string. Nothing of any worth, just something really cool, I guess. Then you go to the guard room that the thieves had at one time. There are no longer any thieves in this one. There's a hall, thieves' common, false treasury, ante-rooms. But it does give you a nice layout. I do remember playing this once. We played this once, the adventure, and we went through all this, and it was kind of cool. There you see a picture of Jorl, whatever his name is. You have the bunk room, a hall, which has a... For some reason, they love to put little riddles in. You have a bridge room. And this is the one where the diggers constructing the basement came across an underground inlet from the harbor, fed by a deep, narrow channel. This pool stays relatively calm. And it has a bunch of fish called cave stingers that will sting you, kind of like jellyfish, if you fall in. There's a corridor, the brigand chief's bedroom, and then the treasure room. So you're still going to find stuff in these rooms, because the thieves probably got caught at one time and all found themselves hanging by a rope somewhere. I don't know if Gondorians hung people or they just beheaded them. Doesn't really tell you how they did executions. So the task. So it gives you a task without telling you what's going on. It's a question of survival in a fight with the assassin. They must find their way back to the streets above. They are morally motivated. They'll probably see the need to avenge the murder they have witnessed. So it never tells you there's a murder. You just got to assume. So you assume that Dor-en-Ernil was murdered by Jorad, and you witnessed it. And Jorad flees into the abandoned warehouse at his back. Are you bold enough to avenge the murder of the docks? It's basically what the storyline. So you see a murder before your eyes, and you decide whether you want to run in after him. And if you want to do the adventure, obviously you do. Starting the players, aids, obstacles, obviously the traps and wards set by the thieves, and the cruel cunning of the assassin. Rewards, bringing a murderer to justice is always fun to do. Watch him hang, piss himself. And whatever's left, all the stuff that's left behind by the thieves over the years. Encounters. Well, obviously Jorad is the biggest encounter, as well as all the traps and stuff that are in the room. Jorad himself, if he comes to the room, to the hall where the riddle is, he won't be able to do it. He doesn't have the mind for it. But he might have to, if he hasn't already used his invisibility spell, he might stay there and do it, and let the adventurers go by him. And once they solve the riddle, he will leap up and cast his glass ball on the floor. I guess he's got a glass ball of gas with gaseous stuff. Smoke bomb, basically. And he gives the rest of the encounters that you find. Next up, we got the next one. At Home by Sea is the second adventure. So in the wake of the assassination of Dor-en-Ernil the Ranger, the Shades have grown bolder. So this is not just one assassin, there's a bunch of assassins. And they're attacking parties on the roads around Dol Amroth to hone their skills in preparation for the eventual execution of the leader's designs. So this is an ambush scenario where a bunch of assassins are going to waylay people in the countryside. So this rich countryside is dotted about with manors of the region's powerful men, knights of the nobility, especially wealthy merchants, and as the leaders of some of the craftsman guilds. So a group of PCs on their way to a party, as they stroll happily along to the home of an old wine merchant who is known for festivities, fashionably late and ready for an evening of quiet fun. That's not going to happen. So next we have the tale of Gabin Trollsdirge. So it goes on to say that, so this guy Gabin, he went abroad, had some adventure, found out he disliked trolls, and he fought with bands of mercenaries, discovered in his heart the great hatred for the race of trolls. He said from a period he spent as guest of a group of these people who impressed him as an appalling poor host. After a daring escape, he returned and gave the trolls a lesson in etiquette. This won him among the associates the epithet Trollsdirge. So now he's an old warrior, old age eating away at his sanity, took in his head once more to see the lands of his birth and to see his visit his brother and father. So now he's home, but his brother and father are dead. And though he's heir to this manor, he hasn't told anyone. And he camps within the fine halls of the house as if you're alone in the lands of the enemy. So people have seen lights in the windows and have simply been put down to the other ghost stories that formed around the estate. Okay, for the 40 years. So this guy's staying in there, so he can be helpful if you can convince him. And more background to him, what he has and what he can do. The Shades. So you get 2 assassins made up of 8 second level shades. Not very powerful. Clothed in gray, full body covering with a shroud of head and gloves of all cotton duck. They wield broadswords which are scabbarded across the back and carry throwing daggers, 5 each in their belts. As per their normal team procedure, each has a shrill whistle and a chain about his neck which brings fellows in for a kill. Sounds like ninjas. So you got the Dor-en-Ernil in the setting. Your typical Dúnedain manor house. Courtyard, anteroom, parlor, the office, guardroom, ballroom, pantry, kitchen, assembly room. Each will have descriptions of what's there. There's the layout itself. I like the layout. I never played this one. Yeah, hall, servants' quarters, steward's quarters, bedrooms, master bedroom. And this is where Troll's dirge will be hiding, in the master bedroom. Another hallway, dining room, kitchens, the sitting room, the sunroom, the docks. So it must be up here. It must be right on the water. The deck, main stair. So starting the players, it's an ambush, so you're going to get... You can be on your way to the party, or you can be on an errand that takes them into the country, even simply traveling in the countryside in the other region. You might be on the road to Dor-en-Ernil for some reason, and these shades ambush you. You manage to fight them off and chase them. Either you can chase them into the manor house, or you can fall back onto the manor house and use it as defensive line. You get aids, obstacles, rewards, and counters. So again, roll a dice, see what you encounter. Like I said, we didn't play this one. We played the first one. We didn't play the second one with a group of people. All right, next up, we get the Hill of Shades. So this is that rocky knoll that Dor-en-Ernil discovered that one night he was out hunting. And on the small knoll, there's a broken ruins of a very burned out lodge and watchtower. This was burned down by the Corsairs when they made raids on the land of Dor-en-Ernil. So the time period for this is different, obviously. So in what was once the courtyard of the lodge, the cult of assassins was given a space to their worship of darkness all through the tangled ways of the hill. These are scattered small shrines where totems of the cult are placed. Artifacts, talismans of wrought iron provide the shades with power, enabling their leader to possess various magical items, devices which will aid them in their exploits. As long as it's not exposed to sunlight, these medallions will continue to increase, growing along with the number of shades on their hill. And as Sauron in the Geist of the Necromancer builds his strength in Mirkwood and across the face of Middle-earth. Highly unlikely, historically speaking, in terms of Middle-earth. So the tale of the Hill of Shades, you got a guy who, orphan son of a soldier of the Princess Guard, became embittered with his life, and he came across these hidden symbols of darkness, these medallions from Sauron, and started building his own little cult. So now he's called Gontron the Shade, and he's got all these special abilities like leaping, landing, stealth, the Shade, so you can become his own shadow for a previously determined time up to 10 minutes per level. He's got Venom, he's a moving shade, Vanish, so you can do all sorts of cool stuff. We never played this one either. Then we got, just never found time, or Baltrod is one of the shades, as is Tinadil. You have the setting. So you get attack room, stables, bunkhouse, courtyard. So there's the knoll itself. And there's the various buildings that are still around. The bridge, game house, bridge, the tower itself, Contron's room, the short stair, spring house, kitchen, hollow bridge, all the descriptions that you find. Will there be a lot of treasure in this one? Probably not. Getting rid of the evil things could be a good idea. So the task is seek out and destroy the cult of assassins. With careful management, this will provide them with an evening of play where they walk the line between power and peril. Starting the players, well, if you've done the other 2 adventures, you can just run into this 3rd one. If any of the shades escape, track them down. Aids, of course, you're going to get a couple of aids you can give, obstacles, rewards, and the encounters. You can use the same ones from the 2nd adventure. Finally, we get stats for non-player characters. Gavin Trollsburg is level 10, so he's pretry powerful. Contron is level 8, so he's up there. Jor-El was only a 4. Balthrall was a 6. And then it gives you a small regional map of where things are. The back cover gives you a nice little regional map as well that fits in nicely with what you got from Havens of Gondor. Okay, so that was Assassins of Dol Amroth. What did I think of this book? I didn't like this book at all. We tried the first adventure, and it was okay. Like the skeleton hanging with all the swords and knives in him was kind of reminded us of the Goonies, One-Eyed Willie. But other than that, we didn't like it. It didn't run very well. In fact, I was looking for more adventures within Dol Amroth itself, the city, the port. I was hoping for more layouts of the actual city, not one warehouse and then a bunch of things outside it. So I thought the adventures were really weak. You can play them. This is good for low level players to get much needed experience. But it wasn't quite what I was thinking of. It wasn't. I would rather have seen something else. But it is part of the collection, and that's why I'm glad I do have it. So all you Middle-earth role-playing fans out there, let me know if you guys had this ready to run adventure module. And what did you think? Leave comments in the comment section. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Until next time, I'm Roman Daysel. I'm out of here.
Shadow